Welcome to our Friday, November 5th version of Golden Black Live. And I'm joined by friend Jerry Palm. And it's good, if you're judged by the company you keep, we're all right, Tom. We got Jerry around here, we're all good. And of course, Tom Dienhart joins us from our staff, and I'm always happy to be with Tom as well. A lot to talk about now. If you're a Purdue fan, you're a superstitious one. We're starting to talk about bowl scenarios. I know that's dangerous because Purdue only has 5 wins, but we need to at least start to broach the subject. And I want to thank our sponsors, places that I think Jerry and Tom both know well. Triple X on the hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929. State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com, and Hilton Garden Inn when tomorrow's a big day. State HDI tonight. All right, Jerry. I love this stuff. Fries my brain typically. Your basketball stuff does, but this does too. And trying to figure out a little bit. I guess I'd like you first to kind of set the table, because it seems like eons since Purdue's been to a bowl. They've been eon defined as 3 years, but with COVID and everything, it's just like everything's kind of lost different. Tell us about some of the kind of update us on the Big Ten bowl tie-ins, and of course, Purdue's probably not staring at a New Year's Day 6, but they are staring at things like the pinstripe and a bowl out in Phoenix, which I'm drawing a blank on the name, and all those kinds of things. So give us a little rundown of what you see, where the Big Ten goes for some of the bowls that might be on Purdue's radar.
Yeah, so the Big Ten, once you get out of the New Year's 6, and that could be, 2, 3, even 4 Big Ten teams in the New Year's 6. Once you get out of that group, the top bowl for the Big Ten is the one that has been for a long time, the Citrus Bowl, and then the Outback Bowl, played both on New Year's Day. Those are probably out of reach for Purdue unless Purdue finishes strong and we put 3 or 4 teams in the New Year's 6 as a league. And then the Outback Bowl can come into play for Purdue. And then you also have Music City, which is the last bowl Purdue played in. And because of that, haven't been there recently, is out of play for Purdue. I don't know what bowl Purdue is going to go to for sure, but that one they're not going to for sure. The Pinstripe Bowl in New York, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl in Arizona are the other possible bowl games for the Big Ten in the new arrangement. So, and then every other year they have the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which Wisconsin was in last year. And this year, the Las Vegas Bowl is the alternating year. So that's also a possibility for Purdue.
Duke's Mayo is not this year, but Vegas is. Is that
correct? It alternates.
Okay.
So last year it was Duke's Mayo, which is in Charlotte. And this year, the Big Ten is in Las Vegas.
We're just trying to get Tom to Vegas to cover a game. So that's all there is to it. But Tom, fire away. You got a question.
Yeah, so Jerry, it sounds like Las Vegas, Pinstripe, Guarantee Rate Bowl may be the 3, I guess, call them most likely.
Yeah, I left out Detroit. The Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit is still the would be considered probably the last of the Big Ten bowls.
Okay, and then just kind of resetting the whole rack in the Big Ten, Jerry. First of all, you believe obviously the Big Ten is going to get 1 playoff team, right? Probably Ohio State. And then how many teams do you think are going to get those New Year's 6 bowls if you even had to project right now from the Big Ten?
Well, the 2 Michigan teams are really the ones that with the best shot at getting into a New Year's 6 game. Penn State now with 3 losses, probably not. Wisconsin also has 3 losses, so probably not unless they win the league. And then the Rose Bowl. But if the Big Ten put the team in the playoffs, you'll have a playoff team and a Rose Bowl team guaranteed. If the Big Ten doesn't make the playoffs, then you'll still have a Rose Bowl team, but you could still have at least 1 more. Michigan would be a likely candidate for that. So would Michigan State, depending on how those 2 teams finish the year. And you couldn't rule out Iowa yet, sitting there with 2 losses. I mean, they'd have to run the table and then, finish 10-3, non-champion, as an at-large candidate then for a New Year's 6 game. And they'd have something of a chance, but it would depend on what other teams do.
I think if I read, go ahead, Tom.
I mean, Jerry, the Purdue obviously was in the Music City Bowl. That was only 2 years ago, 2018. Why would that eliminate them from going back?
3, yeah.
Yeah, 3 and a half.
Because the way starting with actually the last bowl contract, which was started at the beginning of the playoffs, so 2014, and then they re-upped it here in 2020, I want to say, or 2019. The rules are that basically you can't go to a bowl that you've been to in the last 6 years.
Okay.
Or you can have one repeat appearance in 6 years. So, and the league decides, not the bowl, who goes where. Now the bowls will suggest who they want, and the league will try to accommodate. But since Purdue has been to the Music City Bowl the last few years, they're not going to send Purdue to the Music City Bowl again. And the reason for that was because you'd see a lot of the same teams in the same bowls all the time, and there'd be fan fatigue and bowl fatigue from seeing the same people. So they wanted to mix things up. And the thing you have to remember about the bowls, they're not about merit. Once you get outside the New Year's Six, how good you are, there's a basic standard to be eligible for a bowl, but how good you are doesn't really matter after that. So, people get all upset that they got passed over for a bowl game. It's not about that. So, yes, a team that you beat and has a worse record than you may get a bowl game that you didn't. That's the way it goes. And so Purdue, we know they're not going to the Music City Bowl. They could still play on New Year's Day. They could still not, and more likely not play on New Year's Day, play in, Pinstripe or Arizona. I think those are more likely. Vegas is in play as well. Purdue would have to slump probably to end up in Detroit.
Yeah, I know the Big Ten is really involved in slotting these teams in the bowl games. And again, just it sounds like, again, the Outback, big long shot for Purdue. Detroit, like you said, the bottom would have to fall out for Purdue to fall to the Motor City to play up there in that Little Caesars Bowl, I think it is now.
Yep.
So again,
Quick Lane.
Quick Lane. Yep.
I'm way behind.
I can't keep it straight either.
No.
I just want the Poulon Weed Eater bowl back.
Yeah.
We're going to Vegas, guaranteed rate. Pinstripe, again, probably the most likely destinations for Purdue. And you ask me, Jerry and Alan, those would be three pretty nice spots for Boilermaker fans to go to: Las Vegas, Phoenix, or New York City. How about that?
Well, yeah. I mean, the only bad thing about New York City is it'll be cold.
Oh, yeah, it'd be cold.
Yeah.
It's New York City.
But you're playing in Yankee Stadium, so Purdue could have a season where they play football in Wrigley Field and Yankee Stadium.
How about that? That's got to be a first. Hey,
the baseball team would be jealous. I mean, the Purdue baseball team needs to get in those venues.
So now, Jerry, let's really jump ahead. I should know this off the top of my head, but Las Vegas Bowl, what other conference is affiliated with that?
Pac-12, I believe, is the Las Vegas Bowl.
And guaranteed rates, Pac-12?
Guaranteed rate, I think, is Big 12.
Yes,
and
Big 12. I believe that's right. Yeah.
And then the Pinstripe is ACC.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. You can start fantasizing about matchups now.
I think your projections last week might have been, if I read them right, was that you had Penn State, which hasn't been to the Pinstripe Bowl. Obviously, they'd be a big get if they could get Penn State, I'm sure. Yeah. But Phoenix is a great spot for Purdue fans. And I think that game it's between Christmas and New Year's as well. Is Vegas before Christmas still? I have to look off the top of my head. We'll have to look that up and
I haven't got
bring
the
that
date
to the
off
fore.
the top of my head.
Quick, before Christmas. Alan, I don't think Purdue's ever played in Las Vegas or the Phoenix area, has it?
In a bowl game?
They played in Tucson. Ever. That's it. Yeah, they've never played in Phoenix. Yeah, that's right.
Ever.
Because they played Arizona in 2005. Down in or Tucson, but
because I know they never played Arizona State out there, or in a bowl game for that matter.
Yeah, and that I think you look at that and you try to have attractive, and like you said, Jerry, you've drilled that in my head over the years, and you're correct that it's a popularity contest once you get back. And by the way, that bowl game in Las Vegas Bowl, Thursday, December 30th. So it used to be before Christmas. So that becomes attractive also, I think, it'd be a great destination if you get it.
Well, it's also not just about the Big Ten team, but who the other team is as well. So, I don't think that there's a problem with this year, but sometimes you end up in a situation where you get stuck playing a team you've already played. And so they're going to move one of you to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah. So, and every conference has got its own rules regarding the bowls. So for example, the Pac-12, you have to go in conference standing order through their bowl rotation. And Pac-12 cannot send a 5-7 team to a bowl game. So, and then the Big 12 has got their own rules, and the ACC's got their own rules, and the SEC has no rules. So, everything is it's different. So each bowl has its own preferences, and each league has its own rules, and it's hard to navigate. Putting together a 68-team bracket is a lot easier.
I know.
Really, Jerry. So Jerry, finishing 8-4 or 6-6, it's not really going to matter for Purdue, is it? As far as the bowl goes.
No, I mean, it matters in terms of the attractiveness to a bowl and whether they'll put Purdue on their list of teams that they prefer. But it's not going to matter. You'd probably have to be 6-6 to land in Detroit. Probably not going to land in Detroit unless you're 6-6 and I don't think Purdue could get in a bowl at 5-7 because their APR is not going to be good enough. So, so 6-6 would really be their only shot at Detroit.
Yeah.
What's that?
So Nebraska always seems to get that because their APR, they've been there a couple of times.
I think I've got Maryland in that game right now in the Detroit game.
Sounds
so
we'll
see. But Purdue's got to get to 6 first before it's something to really get excited about. A couple opportunities to do that. So, and obviously 7-win Purdue or 8-win Purdue is even more attractive. And especially 8-win Purdue means they've either beaten Michigan State or Ohio State. So that would be a lot to get excited about.
Guaranteed Rate Bowl on December 29th, Pinstripe Bowl December 28th. So
Alan, what's the venue on the Guaranteed Rate Bowl?
That's, I believe, is in the big stadium at I believe at Glendale, but I will look that.
I think that game is Arizona State. I think that's in Arizona State Stadium in Tempe.
Oh, they play in Tempe.
Yeah.
Because they used to have a bowl in the Diamondback Stadium.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't think they're playing there anymore. I think it's in Arizona State Stadium, but I could be wrong.
Well, you know what? And with the magic of it's a Chase Field, so they are going to play.
Oh, they are. They're in the Diamondbacks.
So there you go. But all a good problem and a great. And again, obviously, if Purdue could get there, those would be good venues, I think, for Purdue. Purdue, at when they went to Nashville. And that slaughter had a great crowd and brought a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a really good crowd.
Be attractive.
It's a nice, easy drive for Purdue fans.
Yeah, that game was over 3 minutes after it started, unfortunately. But if you're a Purdue fan, all right, Jerry, a little bit about what you've seen of the Boilermakers so far this year, and obviously tomorrow's game against Michigan State will be an interesting one. The Spartans only a 2.5-point favorite. They're 8-0. We all of us are old enough to remember 1999, a very different situation, but the Spartans were ranked 5th and coached by Nick Saban. What do you see? What do you see coming off what do you see coming off tomorrow at 3:30?
It's been a weird year for Purdue. For one thing, it's a Jeff Brom team led by a defense, which has been really good this year. The changes that they've made to the defensive side of the ball, in terms of bringing in players, but also the scheme has been very effective, and it's been a very reliable unit. It's kept Purdue in a lot of games, and now lately they're starting to take the ball away, which was the only thing they weren't really doing early on.
Right.
And now they get 4 turnovers against Iowa. They get 4 turnovers last week against Nebraska. It'll be interesting to see if we can ever force a turnover at home. But that's the other weird thing about this team. They've been better away from home than at home. And, so they've got to give the home crowd something this week, an exciting battle with an outstanding Michigan State team, with Kenneth Walker having a fantastic season. And after this game against Michigan, he is the Heisman favorite this week. Nobody's really completely separated themselves in that race. But this is a really good Michigan State team, especially offensively in the running game. Their defense has just been okay, but their offense has been really good, and they keep the ball because they can run it. So Purdue's defense is going to get tested by an outstanding Michigan State front and a great running back, and they're going to have to really play well in order for Purdue to have a chance to win this game. And then, of course, for the offense, it's always about taking care of the ball, and you never know what you're going to get. from Purdue's offense when it comes to taking care of the ball. Is Aiden O'Connell going to throw to our guys or theirs? For, when we have, the Iowa game, we didn't turn it over. No, we had that fumble at the goal line, and then I don't think we turned it over against Nebraska last week. So that's going to be really important. Making sure that we're not giving the ball away and giving teams like Michigan State a short field. That's a big problem. And so it's gonna take a good effort to beat a great team that's on a roll. And they've done that already once this year at Iowa, and now they're being asked to do it again.
All right, Tom, time for one more. Go ahead.
Oh, Jerry, I can't let you go. If we're talking bowls, I got to get one 1984 Peach Bowl story from you.
Oh man, that was a blast. Part of me is still a little bit bitter we didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl that year, because I don't know if you remember the second to last game that year, we were at Wisconsin in the snow, and we just couldn't get anything going offensively, and that was back before Barry Alvarez had made that program good. And we ended up losing that game and missing out on the Rose Bowl. But the Peach Bowl was a great experience, and what I'll remember is Virginia didn't really have a band. They had a scatter band, kind of like Stanford's. So we had the show to ourselves in the marching band, and we marched in fours over a hill down Peachtree Street, coming over this hill down into a plaza area for a pep rally. And our band at that time was 400. And so it took forever for us to get all the way down this hill. And people are watching like, does this band ever end? So that parade into the plaza for a pregame rally was probably the most memorable moment of that event for me. But that band events were always great. So the whole weekend was tremendous. But that's the best story I can probably tell.
It's a good one. Old Fulton County Stadium.
Yeah, Old Fulton County.
Fulton County.
It was a good.
Yep.
It was a beautiful day. I remember that.
Was that like five stadiums that built for Atlanta since then, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They build a new one every 4 or 5 years there.
I remember that Magic Man, Don Mikowski, but also Purdue had that lead at halftime and just went south in the second half, and Virginia gets the win. So, that was it. All right. The second to last question. So you already are into basketball. Is Purdue number one seed on your? What seed line is Purdue basketball on right as of today?
Well, it's funny that you should mention that, because my preseason bracket came out today, and I have Purdue as a 2. Sharing the line with Michigan and the 2 highest seeded teams in the Big Ten. I think the top of the Big Ten, which is so good this year, will end up beating each other up to the point where it might be hard for anybody to steal a 1. But if a team is able to separate itself, or 2 teams are able to separate themselves from the pack, you could see a 1 or even 2 1s out of the Big Ten, because the league is ridiculously strong again this year, and it's going to really be fun to watch. They've got to have a better postseason than they did last year, but the top to bottom talent in this league, especially in the post, we've got like 5 really good bigs in this league, legit bigs, and 2 on the same team, which is kind of odd, but it's going to be a fun league to watch this year.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from November 5th till about whenever Selection Sunday is, you'll start
127 days away, but who's counting?
But who's counting? Who's counting? You got it. So, hey, Jerry, always insightful. Appreciate the bowl rundown. If you're a Purdue fan, you hope it's not premature. We'll know a lot more, a little more on Saturday. If Purdue can get the job done, obviously it'll become bowl eligible. You'd like, if you're a Purdue fan, to be bowl eligible before you play Indiana. That would be a good thing if you're Purdue. Maybe up at Wrigley Field. Who knows how it's going to play out. So, Jerry, thanks again, and we will be back for segment 2. And Coach Brian Newbert will join me along with Coach Shane Fry, West Lafayette. We'll talk about Purdue's newest prospect, and the Karloftis brothers. Should be an entertaining interview. So, guys, thanks again, and we'll stay tuned for segment 2 of Gold and Black Live.